Good morning, students. Today's topic for discussion is going to be on scaffolding used in building construction. At the end of this lesson, the students are expected to be able to 1. Define scaffolding and its application in building construction. The student should also be able to state the principle guiding scaffolding in building construction. The students, after the lesson, should also be able to define various parts of scaffolding. And lastly, the student should be able to identify the different types of scaffolding and where they are more applicable. At the end of this lesson, the student should be able to meet up with this objective. Okay, we are going to look at the definition of scaffolding. But before we go into the definition of scaffolding, I would like to just give you a brief of what we see sometimes on a building site. If you go to a building site, sometimes you see workers or the masons or any other workers on the site that when a building is above 2 meters height, they find it difficult to reach to where they go to work. So if you look at it, sometimes they use temporary measures. You see woods around, or you see metal tubes around, or you see bamboos around. They are trying to prepare a base for them to climb to reach where they are going to work. That is a clear picture of what scaffolding means. But in terms of definitions, you will not define scaffolding as a temporary platform erected to enable workers have access to their work and to enable materials and other features to be used above the ground level. That is the definition of a scaffold. What did I mean? You see, when you go to the site, you will see when they erect the timbers, wood or iron, alloy their tubes, they will now put a platform, a plywood, to enable them carry their building material, that is cement, the blocks, and other material that is required for the construction. That is exactly what it means by scaffold. Now, we are going to look at the applications of scaffold. If we say scaffold, what are the applications of scaffold in the building construction site? Now, we have seen when you want to do ceiling above the ground level, your hand can't get to where to do the noggins. You will need a scaffold. So that is why they see the erections of wood and put a platform, a plywood on top, and you climb to have access where you are going to fix your noggin. You will want to lay blocks above the ground level. Erections, construction work, that is a brickwork, that a scaffold can be used. For instance, you also want to do painting work. The painting work, sometimes your hand cannot get to the upper level. You need a scaffold to climb to enable you reach to where you want to work. Electrical work. You will see electrical work where they want to do fittings, they want to fix in most of their appliances. Their hand can't reach from the ground. They need scaffold. In terms of renovations of entire building, sometimes they need scaffold. It's not constant time. Most of the times, above the ground level, they need scaffold. You cannot see that the use of scaffolding is very necessary in the building construction site. Now, we shall now discuss on the classification. When we talk about scaffolding, the scaffoldings can be classified in two ways. One, through the material used for the scaffolding. The material used for the scaffolding is a very important thing. One, commonly what we see in Nigerian context, we use wood, we use tubular, that is alloy steel, and we use bamboo. It is necessary when in selecting this type of material depends on the availability of the material and the type of the construction work. So one of the classifications. The other classifications is that we classify scaffolding under the method of erections. That is the method we erect this scaffolding. One, we have the what? The independent scaffolding, and the other one we have dependent scaffolding. We have mobile scaffolding and have suspended scaffolding. So all those are major the kind of classification we can do to know the difference between one scaffolding or the other. That is basically what is there. That is for the definitions. Having had the definitions of scaffold and the various ways of classifying scaffold, it is necessary for us to also learn about the guiding principle that will guide you in the erections of a scaffold. We're going to talk about the principles of scaffolding. When we talk about principle of scaffolding, we mean the regulations guiding the erections of scaffolding. First of all, we are using wood or bamboo or tubular material for erections of this scaffolding. And this is going to carry load. If we are not very careful in the erection process, there is going to be a failure. And when there is failure, you see accidents on the construction site will be seen. So we have discovered so many times that in the construction work, we find people falling from the scaffolding or otherwise we find accident. So we want to avoid those accidents from the scaffold. What are the guiding principles? First of all, the material you are going to use for the erections must be strong enough. The material you are going to use must be strong enough. Two, wooden members used for scaffolding must not hide termites, must not be so weak that it will collapse during usage. 3, the metal part used or any metal material must not allow corrosions, that is, must not be corroded. 4, the standard used for the scaffold must stand right or slant towards the building. It must stand right or stand towards the wall that is going to support it. Number 5, the foot, which is called the base plate, must not stand on a loose soil. It must stand in a very strong base. Number 6, all support to the platform must be fastened to the ledger. All support to the platform must be fastened to the ledger. That is, the put lock or the transom that are going to be used to support the platform where one is going to stay upon must be fastened to the ledger. The put lock supported by the wall must be driven into the wall. The put lock that is supported by wall must be driven into the wall. Brace in the scaffold must be used to support the scaffold and prevent it from collapsing. All scaffold must be tied to the structure. All scaffold you want to use must be tied to the structure. Those are the guiding principles that will help you in erecting a very strong scaffold. And having learned about the guiding principles, it is good for us to know what are those parts I have mentioned. ain't the principle. If we try to know them, we will now see why this principle can be applied. Now we shall now go into discussing the various parts of scaffold. We are now going to discuss on the various parts of scaffold. Having looked at a scaffold, you see it is just a combination of various parts. One, the major part that we have in scaffolding, when you have a clear look of scaffolding, you will now see there are vertical members standing. The vertical member standing uprightly, it is called the standard. It is called the standard. They are there at an interval of 1.6 or 2 points to hold other parts, to hold the platform and other part of the scaffolding. So the vertical member that stand upright to hold other part of the members of the scaffolding is called the standard. The ledger, when you have a vertical members like the standard we have, you will now see there are horizontal member who is tying the standard to one another. That vertical members that cross the standard to hold them together is called the ledger. It's called the ledger. It is always in vertical form, holding the standard into position. We have the base plate. The base plate, when you look at a scaffold standing on the ground, you will now discover at the ground level there is a square form of a wood or a metal sheet in form of a square form that is fixed directly to the standard to hold it in position. And when you look at even the principle, they said this base plate must not be placed on a very loose soil. That one creates a base for the standard, because when you look at a wood of 2 mm or 4 inches, it cannot stand on its own. It has to look for a base. That base is called the base plate. The putlock. Sometimes you see, when we want to describe a kind of foundation, we say putlock scaffold. What is the putlock? The putlock is fixed to the ledger that is connected to the wall. The putlock is fixed to the ledger, is also in horizontal form, fixed to the ledger and is connected to the wall. And most commonly, it appears in independent scaffold. The putlock is connected to the ledger down to the wall, and it is also hold the platform. What is the platform? When we talk about platform, you see in a construction work, when you come closer to a scaffold, you will see there is a plank at a height, maybe 2 meters or above, where precisely they want to use. You see, at that place where the putlock meet together, that is where a platform is placed, a form of plywood, to hold the workman, the materials, and the tools. That is what is called the platform. When we look at the independent scaffold, particularly the tubular type, you see they have a kind of clip that ties within one joint or the other. They call those one coupling. All those clips that tied the joint together, either in the ledger or the standard, is called the coupling. We shall now talk about the brace. When we talk about the brace, we mean it is a horizontal member spanning from one ledger to the other down stair. So when you look at it, the ledger 1 down, the next one according to their height, according to how it is constructed. The brace is now connecting one ledger to the other in a Z shape, and that is what is called the brace. It's always bracing the two, and it is holding, is increasing, adding more strength, stability to the scaffold. We have double coupling. The double coupling is used to tie the ledger to the standard. That is mostly used in tubular scaffolding. That is when we talk of the iron scaffolding. So those are the few parts of scaffolding we have. Also, we have what is called the guide rail. What is guardrail? At the top, sometimes you see a story building. People are working on the story building. The fears of falling backward is there. The fears of material falling backward is there. That wooden material or metal material that is fixed between one standard and another to protect the users from falling or protect material from falling is called the guard rail. Those are the common part of a scaffold that is required for the erections of a scaffold. If you look at most of these simple scaffolding we construct in a building, maybe the ground floor building that is not having a story building, we'll find that most of the times the erection they are independent scaffolding. They don't mostly fix the guardrail, but it is necessary for them to fix them because of fears of a failure or backward fall that can protect the users or protect the material from falling. Now, having learned about all this part, we shall now go to see the various types of scaffolding used. When we look at the various types of scaffolding in the next clip, you will now see the various parts I have just mentioned as part of scaffolding.